you very much, and thank you, Anjin, for setting it up, and to Torsten for inviting me. I don't know why I'm the only one being introduced with all academic titles. I'm sorry, that was not the intention. Although I'm not sure what sound is coming here. Maybe this is from the other thing. Yeah, I also want to say that I'm teaching, that maybe that's why, at the Zurich game design course at the University of Fine Arts there. But this is a background, of course, and a possibility to talk about the works I did the last 10 years, and I'm going to talk about the exhibit game. So I'm very happy, and thanks to Torsten especially for setting up the Games Culture Circle and for setting up this conference, because it was a pleasure to hear also Doug before introducing the possibilities of games as tools for something beyond game and play. And this made a particular scene of the media art scene having access to the games culture. So this was my personal history also, the exhibit game. And this is also what I can now discuss with nascent, emergent young game designers in the teaching process, and also in developing my own exhibition games further. I took a quote because Dérive de Tourment, the change of existing games, was something that was a start also, I would say, from my point of view, of the indie game designers culture as well. Looking back with the Unreal Tournament modding possibilities, there was a culture, a fan culture, starting to, as most of you might know, of course, modifying games. And this is playing with games in a transformative way. And the exhibit game, the one you see in the background also, is a game from 2003. And it was reflecting the developers and artists' courage, I would say, taking risk and experimenting recklessly with the medium. They pushed forward, I should say, gaming's potential for intellectual and cultural political exchange. And I was stealing the quote from Torsten, from the Amaze Award, and only was switching the term developer with artist. And this is what some of the Hello World reality engines do. I define artists coming from the art world as background, not as a designer or mood style artist for the game, but for setting up configurations in reality. And this was 2004 at the Transmediale Software Arts Award. We were having a modification of or a total conversion of the Unreal Engine, and then developing out of that an exhibit game. And this is now also a new research project where I find a link to these earlier works, because the images you see now were all including and also further developing the network possibilities of the Unreal Tournament or all multiplayer software engines, but modifying them. I start with this early quote, if you allow to me. In this short clip, we explain how we artistically changed the engine, and it was really combining Linux commands of a server like NS lookups, trace routes, user movements into the game engine, live, directly, really programmed, not only symbolic. Excuse my voice over this. The aesthetic changed also, but you will hear me speaking English again. Nibble engine tools. Some more volume, I would say.
A unit of half a byte or 4 bits, which is the basis of every digital conversion. As the numeric equivalent of binary code, it exemplifies the internal logic of software that transforms codes and protocols on a server into various representations. A radical meta-art system shooter, a self-ironic collaborative statement tool. With each shoot, an anti-war mail is commissioned. Broadcast messages inside the visual coded environment display real-time activities outside the engine. By each press on the gamepad, a ping is started to a different crucial gov server. By shooting with the gamepad, you construct your environment. You collaborate. By moving inside the engine, the rules are inverted. Tournament is situationist tournement. Attack is collaboration. Shoot is communication. Playing is editing code. This generative arts engine is based on recursivity. Actions inside the engine affect the structure of a network. Processes from outside, pings, trace routes, NS lookups, email, are indicated in.
So you see the basic idea. The environment was changed on a parallel. It's a really objects were generated inside the environment. With each shoot, you also were sending out an email. And this was all represented in an exhibition. So the players were sitting in the exhibition space, taking the gamepad and pressing on shoot. And when they were pressing on shoot, with each press, an anti-war mail was sent to President at White House Gov. This is almost a lot of spam, of course, but a statement, spam statement. And that was what it was about, basically. At this war, the war in Iraq was starting. That's 10 years already, so it's a quite old work. But I thought it's showing that of course, you don't change the world, but you can make a statement with the games itself, if you want. You don't have to, but you can. And you have this option using the tracker, also the tracker tools, that was a work associated with these technologies then, that you can use the data of that you generate also for making it visible and for generating art objects out of it, because they transform to other audiences. You have connections to the gamers community a little bit, not so much, but they are playable tools. We also have death matches, etc. So it's important. It's not just a symbolic tool, but it's also connected to the culture and arts world. And that's why we played with the syntax that I learned, that I could handle. That was the art syntax. That's why we were also printing out a sculpture. And this was a 3D laser sintering, exhibited at the Dutch Electronic Arts Festival at Las Palmas. These are really like the major media arts. It's also a scene, like indie games or scenes, but printing out the data traces of all the players and making them, so really the tracking of your movements, how you are navigated, trace route, hops, etc. When you are via the backbone from one address to the other, we were addressing government servers, gov servers, and then seeing how they are traced, and this generated an aesthetic object. So the exhibit game can transform also urban activities. There is another example for this transformation. This is an actual research project that I'm now involved with the Kunsthalle Vienna, that we want to develop real exhibition interfaces, including games and game design, but developing also games for the exhibition space. In this case, this was 2007 for Laboral Gijón. This is a media art center, quite huge, 10,000 square meters, a huge building out in the middle of nowhere. This is European Union funding, but it's a big center for media arts. And there we were transferring urban play in the city, a mapping, so we were only going with a modified Nintendo DS, and you can use this scanning function where you can log in. 2007, it was still a bit more a question about where is access possible and where not, and also to make visible what kind of private data you are given as soon as you log into a free hotspot. Not only your name and the name, but also your IP numbers and data packets, etc. To map this transition over a Google Maps system, and then we were generating in point2, export to the white cube in real space, this mapping over the geographical map of the city Gijón. And so this was then really printed on the floor of the big exhibition space. And inside the exhibition, people could again take the same device as for the urban game. It was a modified Nintendo DS with a new antenna, like an artistic slot into the slot card. You could insert a new and aesthetically designed antenna and go through the exhibition. Small Wi-Fi spots were set up, which was quite difficult to limit the reach of Wi-Fi spot, and we were simulating the city. And when the people went through the exhibition, they were experiencing with this device aesthetic references to Duchamp and the rotorelief, and so making it look more aesthetically appealing, modifying also the hardware. They were experiencing this city walk through the exhibition and playing a game in the exhibition. So it really had also rules. It was really with the game mechanics as well, that the objects in the exhibition it had a aim, a target, and because you were tracked behind the scenes, immediately you got commands like stand on the wall with your hands and lie on the floor, take a photo. And most of the visitors did, because you are in a game and then you are really behaving very strangely in an exhibition when you lie on the floor, for example. And it really happened. The Spanish people were participating. It doesn't work everywhere, I'm sure, but there it worked. So, yeah. Can I have a glass for water? Right, so this is the first step, scanning the city, basically, and there you had this name of access point, Familia Alvarez, and this was then immediately in the exhibition. And saying, the whole bottle? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, talking so much. Yeah. Okay, I go ahead because I also want to make a new point anyway, I don't have to show everything, how to play. So it had certain rules, and the absurd thing was that the objects, you had to, like this, to obey the objects, and having an absurd experience, and this was the interface on the NDS with the commands. When I say we, mainly these were collaborations with Max Moswitzer, who is also teaching in Zurich and an artist. And in this case, it was a collaboration also with René Bauer, who is also game designer. So 2009 Kunstmuseum Aros, a game as well, where a sonification of the city took place. I only want to make one point. You need physical interfaces. That's towards this alternate reality and hybrid reality games, where I want to finish my presentation. This is the aim. That's why we talk later also about this. You see, this physical interface gives power to the experience. Also, Doug had it already in his presentation. And I always developed interfaces that were simulating also the urban experience. So like here, that you had you have the small toy object.
Psychoactive sonic map mounted in the exhibition, which shows a coded reality topography, a tagged network of play objects.
So using game software, modifying game concepts, and then also combining it with the logic of arts and of creating real interfaces. And this is now a work in progress. This last point, play and presume, where the aim is to emphasize, to stress the user participation, and also to critically question this difference of the play and game, of the modification, like the Jesper Juhl, the borders of the play and game, and give historic references to the game metaphor as living in society metaphor. In the 60s, there was a big strain in the films, TV series, etc. culture. This is the wonderful Ursula Andress in La Decima Vittima, the 10th victim, where a game was taking place in real life. The 10th victim was shot, but he or she is the hunter, and Marcello Mastroianni, she's hunting him, and he doesn't know, but he's shot in the end, and they are playing life. So we are really combining and playing to live, and living is the main, playing is the, and game is society, play is living, and this is expressed in these early movies. I only want to express also here the relevance for the real life in game environments and game principles. So I think this is a good topic. The apprentissage is questioning also this, what are the new rules of play in society, the collective imperative, we have to participate, you have to load up. I mean, it's great that we can all share networked, but it's also like be creative, you have to be creative, it's an imperative as well. And this has to be questioned, I think, in this play and presume alternate reality environments. John Carpenter gives a wonderful example, you know, of course, where the technical tools and the game tools, these wonderful classes, give us a possibility to look through the realities of the society. Yeah, and this was an inspiration for some work I did now as first step for a new exhibition game. Last year exhibited in the project space Vienna at the Museumsquarter, where I designed trench coats. I was using old used trench coats, old Burberrys, and printing new designs. They are like SEMA codes and giving messages like obey, similar to the Carpenter and movie, and uploading immediately your image that you take with the iPhone. So it's an iPhone app which you can download, the AAA profiler, AAA of course. And then a tweet big message is generated out of this photo, and you are put online, and I was performing in the space and animating the people to make photos. And then that's what you see live, almost live, with a short delay, then via a web page and a Twitter feed where you obey capital or that subliminal kit, etc. So like messages. And it is building on an earlier performance game with SEMA codes where the people were only seeing the wearer naked. Also, it was the Venus of Botticelli that you, like a looking glass. And I made costumes for a girls' band, for Who Killed Bambi. And they were wearing this and having this subliminal transparency of a game metaphor. So these are the apprentissage examples. How I am with time? Shall I make a final sentence or?
10 minutes at least.
Oh, really? Good. Oh, I was already speeding up, sorry. Do you have a question in between already? Or you can say, maybe I take the time and thank you very much. I can show later something more if you like. Yes, you have a question? No. Because I was so quick, sorry. I had somehow in mind time to, yeah. They are not online, but no, but it's too big also because I have a lot of video stuff in these slides mainly, which I'm using to show you this. But you can go to ConsumNet, www.consum, like the old Consum, and there is a link to Ludic Society, to some of the exhibition projects. And if you go to ludic.priv.at, like Ludic Privat, there are some of these game fashion environments. So I make the final sentence where you say apprentissage. These are clips taking the reality into account, basically. That was made 2005. I go back again with the parkour scene, a very simple clip where you see the real game, the reality game presented like a video game. And the moving patterns in reality are really shifted into the movements of game figures. And it's also a political statement. That's what the interesting point out of it, because the parkour scene, for example, is reclaiming the city. So it's trying to gain the city back and to yeah, to reoccupy the city only by a gaming behavior, I would say, in real life. Yeah, of course, taking a risk, risking your life again, but as statement, it really makes sense, and also as practice to survive. And that was an interesting moment when also the riots in the banlieues were taking place in 2005. That's why I show it, and I think there's a parallelity in time in. Of urgency, really to act in the real space. So this was live material from the TV. It's the same months when we were exhibiting this work. That's why we decided to cut only the TV food into the video clip. Yeah, so playing real life and exhibiting real life in spaces that doesn't really go together. Reality is constructed. I was choosing the Baroque console for exhibiting the gaming artifacts and showing the clip. This is the absurd coupling, which is my final point, taken from the Société du Spectacle, that you can use found footage and give new messages to it, basically. This is what we did in the performance place in Plymouth, and this is the last clip I show you now. It is quite important for me because it explains another project.
The Ludic Society is pleased to participate in Plymouth, with Plymouth, to tag the city. We are tagged too. We are first live game figures. Yesterday we had a tagging performance. We had the insertion of RFID tag into the hand. Let's have a look how it looks. Okay, it looks good. So inside we do have something that comes out of this toolbox. We are bringing a toolbox with us. The toolbox is equipped with some Ludic Society magazines. The Ludic Society magazines are providing the content to the replay played in Plymouth. Then we also have a syringe kit with a small implant, a RFID implant that goes into the hand of the real player. The real player is then read by a reader. This reader is giving access to a map. The map is online and showing satellite images of the city. The city we play in Plymouth is overwritten with the help of Wunderbaum finders. These Wunderbaum finders are hanging in Plymouth cars. They are also equipped with readers to read the text. These are the texts that are placed in the city. So we have an overlay of text in the city displayed on a game map, which is a Borgesian Borg-like psychoactive play map. This means the satellite map in itself is a play map with a head-up display that is giving information about the score of the real players in first live. So we close it, and please take it and go and play.
Okay. Yeah. Let's radicalize play for society. The exhibit game. Thank you very much. That's it. Yeah, please. Is there or feedback even to this particular aspect? I hope that it's... Yeah, please.
How well was the last project received? Were people willing to implant the chip into their hands?
Yes. Oh, yes, yeah. Really...
How many people played it?
We were making workshops with the University of Plymouth where I was introducing the project and explaining it, that it's really about the absurdity. And I have to say I was quite shocked that really a lot of people came and wanted to have this injection. And it was only that I and Max Moswitzer were sitting at the Plymouth Art Gallery like a performance and having publicly this injection, and I refused to do it to the other people. They were only getting a tag on the skin. Because, statements are fine, but I don't want to take the responsibility for every other's body. Okay. Although, yeah, okay. But it was surprisingly, I don't know if the critical statement was so well understood, because I was shocked why they really want to do it. But, you know, yeah, that's tricky business. Mm-hmm. Another one, or please? Yes. Yeah. If you have a Nokia NFC phone, it has a RFID reader built in, so you can read me. I'm still tagged. Sorry?
What does it say? Just your
Yes, it only says a ID. It's an identification tag which is linked to a program. But you can modify these programs, and that's the essence, because we give completely absurd information with this tag. This is basically the message, and we were trying to override Google Maps with the project. So having it as exhibition game, I didn't show the image now, trying to overwrite Google Maps. It was like generating an absurd image which was linked to the real data, but it only says an ID.
Okay, one final question.
Yeah, okay. Then thank you very much. I hope you will participate in the next exhibit game in 4th of December in Vienna Kunsthalle Project Space. That's where we developed the new one. Thank you.